Every building learns its occupants. The walls memorize your footsteps. The floorboards keep a map of where you stop to think. When you move out, that knowledge doesn't vanish. It just waits. A house is not empty when you leave it. It's hollowed. It keeps the sound of your voice like a seashell keeps the ocean. Some nights, when wind moves through old rafters, you can almost hear what it's trying to say. People think the creaks, the hums, the size of an aging home are random. They aren't. They're rehearsals. The sound of a structure practicing its lines until the next tenant arrives to listen. Most homes forget. A few remember too well. After my lease ended, I took the cheapest place I could find, a tall, narrow row house near the train tracks. The ad said cozy historical charm. The real estate agent said rustic character. I called it what it was, neglected. The bricks bowed outward like the house had inhaled sometime in the 1950s and never exhaled again. The front door stuck at the top, as if the frame had grown around it. The landlord mentioned it had been vacant for a bit. Later I learned a bit meant 6 years. He didn't elaborate on why. I didn't ask. I moved in with 2 suitcases, a folding chair, and the kind of optimism that comes from exhaustion more than hope. That first week, the silence felt heavy, not peaceful, the kind that settles in a room like dust and doesn't leave when you move. Still, I convinced myself quiet was good. After years in thin-walled apartments, I wanted peace, even if it smelled like mildew. The first few nights passed normally. Then the house began to respond. At first, it was coincidence. A creak above me when I crossed the kitchen, a faint rattle in the pipes right after I shut the faucet. I laughed about it, even joked aloud. "You alive up there?" The ceiling popped once, perfectly on cue. It stopped being funny immediately. The first clear moment came when I dropped a glass in the kitchen. It shattered, a sharp echo that bounced through the hall, and a half-second later, the same sound came from upstairs. Identical tone, identical rhythm, like a playback. I froze mid-motion, broom still in my hand, listening for another repeat. Nothing, just that dense quiet pressing on my ears. I told myself it was the echo of the stairwell, an auditory trick. But when I finally swept the shards, each crunch underfoot sounded mirrored by a softer one above me. 2 nights later, I woke at 3:14 a.m. to footsteps pacing the ceiling. Heel, toe paused, deliberate, human, steady. The house had 3 floors, and I rented only the first 2. The top one was locked. The landlord said it was storage. I lay there counting the steps. 12 forward, 12 back. On the 13th pass, they stopped directly over my bed. The air shifted, pressing downward. I held my breath. From the vent beside my headboard came a slow, almost apologetic exhale. The next evening, I tried to fight logic with proof. I clapped once in the living room. 1 heartbeat later, a single clap came from above. I knocked twice on the wall. 2 knocks answered. My laugh came out shaky. "Very funny," I said. From somewhere inside the walls, what flexed, a sound like a knuckle cracking. After that, it started copying everything. When I opened a drawer, another slid somewhere, unseen. When I shut a door, one upstairs slammed half a second later. Even my breathing seemed to have an echo that wasn't mine. By the 5th night, sleep was impossible. Every time I turned over, the bed frame groaned, and something underneath groaned back, slightly out of sync. I'd reach for the lamp and feel the faintest vibration under my hand, as if the furniture itself were listening. At 3:13 a.m., the vent whispered, "You left the light on." I froze. The lamp was off. I sat up slowly. The whisper came again, softer this time, closer. "You left the light on." I got out of bed and opened the door. The hallway light was burning bright. The switch was down. I turned it off, no change. Then the bulb flickered once, twice, and went dark on its own. From the far end of the corridor came a single footstep, followed by that same hiss through the vents, like laughter pressed through dust. I didn't sleep after that. I sat on the couch, waiting for dawn. The following afternoon, I found my front door unlocked, even though I remembered deadbolting it. Inside, everything looked normal except for one thing. My phone lay on the table, recording. The file name read Voice001. I hit play. My own voice came through, distant and tired. "It's fine. You can stay now." I dropped the phone so hard it bounced under the couch. The recording kept playing, louder, closer, not through the phone anymore, but through the vent above the television. The same words looped twice, then stopped with a click. That night, the house spoke first. At 3:12, the walls ticked like cooling metal. The sound gathered into rhythm. 3 knocks, then 2. My heartbeat matched it without permission. From the hallway, a familiar voice said, "Come downstairs." My voice. The same inflection, the same rasp. I whispered, "No," and the word came back from below, "No." Perfect mimicry. The stairs began to creak one by one. Not descending, ascending. Whatever was moving was climbing toward me. The handle of my bedroom door turned halfway, paused, then began to twist again, slow and patient. The wood trembled under the pressure of something waiting to be invited in. I stayed like that until dawn, sitting against the opposite wall, eyes fixed on the door, listening to the shallow rhythm of 2 separate breaths, mine and something else's just on the other side. When the first sunlight touched the curtains, the handle relaxed. I grabbed my keys and walked out barefoot. The air outside felt wrong, thin, flavorless, like nothing was real past the porch. I drove until the gas light came on and found a motel off the highway. That night, for the first time in weeks, I slept. But at 3:13 a.m., a noise woke me, the gentle hum of an air vent above the bed. I told myself it was just climate control. Then a whisper drifted through the grate, calm and conversational. "You left the light on." I stared at the lamp beside me. It was already glowing. I moved out the next morning, left everything behind. I changed towns, numbers, even jobs. But silence follows differently now. When a room grows still, I can hear it waiting, tuning itself to my pulse. Last week, a package arrived with no return address. Inside was my phone. The screen lit up before I touched it. One recording waited, time-stamped 3:13 a.m. My own voice spoke, quiet and certain. "It's fine. You can stay now." And faintly, beneath it, another voice. One breath later, still learning my cadence, repeated, "You can stay now." The vent above my desk exhaled warm air that smelled faintly of salt. Then, from somewhere inside the wall behind me, 3 polite knocks answered. Some crimes never close. They just quiet down until someone brave or foolish enough decides to listen again. We talk about cold cases like they're sleeping things, bodies preserved in paper, sealed in boxes, waiting for sunlight. But I've learned that's not true. Cases don't sleep. They hum. They breathe in frequencies we forget to hear. Every detective knows the sound. That low electric tension in a room that's supposed to be silent. It's the same hum old evidence players make when they're plugged in, but not running, as if they're waiting for someone to press play. I was a homicide detective with the Clark County Sheriff's Department for 21 years. Retired in 2017 after a heart attack and too many ghosts. Now I consult for the department sometimes, mostly cold case reviews, digital transfers, forensic archiving. Quiet work. Headphones instead of gunshots. Last winter, the evidence lab called about a box misfiled during a remodel. Cardboard, No barcode. No chain of custody log. Just the sharpest scrawl. 1978, case 4039, tapes. Inside were 6 cassettes and a field recorder with the initials AL etched on the backplate. Yell. That was Detective Alan Lorton. He was my first mentor. Died in '83. The case, 4039, matched the Ridley Motel murders. 3 victims. 1 suspect. No conviction. The press called him the listener because every time the police arrived, a radio or TV had been left on static, volume maxed. The theory was he liked white noise. Said it calmed him. But Lorton's notes said something else. He uses it to hide something else beneath. I hadn't thought of that case in years. The last known tape, his interview with the suspect, William R. Coates, was never logged. Until now. Cassette 47. I set up the recorder in my home office. Plug in a line out to my digital converter. The label on the tape read simply, INT, Room B, 3:13 a.m. That hour felt wrong. Why would anyone conduct an interview at 3 a.m.? Still, I hit play. Static at first, then faint breathing. 2 voices, Lorton's low, patient tone, and a man's rasping whisper. Lorton, you said you wanted to explain. Start with the sound. Coates, it listens. You should too. The suspect laughed. A soft, wet sound, followed by a pop of the microphone. Then silence. I checked the waveform. Nothing above -50 decibels for 47 seconds. Then, a whisper so faint it registered as room tone. It said, still here. The hairs on my arms lifted. I replayed that section 5 times. Same result, but then something stranger. Background ambience. A faint hum that shouldn't exist on analog tape. 60 cycle, constant, like a live wire. I leaned in, turned up the volume. The hum started modulating, rhythmic, almost vocal. 3 beats. Pause. 2. 3 knocks, 2. The pattern from Lorton's last case note. I logged the discovery, transferred the file, and sent it to evidence control. But the system glitched. My upload froze at 47%. The playback meter kept moving even after I hit stop. That night, I woke at 3:13 a.m. to the faint hiss of static. My headphones were still on the desk, plugged in, indicator light red. The tape player, the physical one, not the software, was running. It was recording. The counter read 47 minutes and 13 seconds. I rewound it. On playback, I heard my own breathing, my chair creaking. Then, faintly, a second exhale right behind me, perfectly synchronized, half a beat off. The whisper came again. Still here. I unplugged the unit, left it off. But the next morning, the waveform file on my desktop had grown by 30 minutes overnight. I started comparing the tapes to the old reports. Every murder scene Lorton documented had the same noise pattern on his radio. 60 cycle hum, modulating in 3s and 2s. His final field note read, sound is not electrical. Sound repeats names. The more I listened, the more the hum shifted, forming tones, vowels, like someone shaping breath through teeth. When I ran the file through a spectral analyzer, letters appeared in the graph. ALORTON. Lorton's name. I laughed out loud, told myself it was artifacting, a glitch in conversion. But the laugh didn't sound like mine when I played it back. The next day, evidence control called. The physical tapes were missing. Only my copy remained. That night, 3:13 a.m. again. Static in the walls, faint but organized, like an unseen machine whispering through copper. I turned off the power to the house. The sound didn't stop. I sent the files to the department, labeled Cassette 47, Anomaly Report. No one replied. A week later, A courier delivered a padded envelope. No sender. Inside, a cassette, no label. My initials carved on the backplate. I borrowed an old deck from evidence and pressed play. Static. Then breathing. Then my own voice. You said you wanted to explain. Start with the sound. And then, softly, 2 words in a stranger's voice. Still here. The counter stopped at 47:13. When I ejected the tape, the deck light stayed on. Recording. I left it running. Some things aren't meant to be solved. They're meant to keep listening. The camera was meant to be a witness. A piece of glass and circuitry that never blinks, never judges, never looks away. But cameras don't just record, they remember. Every time the red light blinks, it's not just capturing what happens in front of it. It's opening its own eye to what shouldn't exist. I've seen enough footage to know the worst part isn't the violence. It's the silence before it starts. That moment where the air shifts, the microphone hum deepens, and you realize the device is picking up something you can't hear. The lens knows before you do. I spent 7 years in the evidence management division of the city's police department. It's the kind of job that strips the world of mystery. You see too much. Every file is someone's worst moment, compressed into a video that you play, pause, label, and forget. Most nights were routine. Body cam uploads, timestamp checks, noise complaints, false alarms. Until one morning, I found an envelope on my desk. No sender. Just 2 words written in heavy marker. For review. Inside was a micro SD card. No case, no documentation. Just the number 17 scratched into the plastic with something sharp. I plugged it into my workstation. The file that appeared was short. BCM017.mp4. No metadata, no officer tag, no precinct ID. Only a date. 2 weeks earlier. The same night Patrolman Lewis disappeared. Everyone in the building knew the story. Domestic disturbance near the abandoned rail yard. Lewis responded alone. Backup arrived 20 minutes later. Cruiser door open, lights still flashing. No Lewis. They searched for days. Nothing but his cracked body cam, found under a pile of rusted rebar. I should have turned the file in. I didn't. The video began with the standard boot sequence. Timestamp 2 hours, 41 minutes, and 8 seconds. Ambient street noise, muffled dispatch chatter. Then static. The image returned to a narrow road bordered by skeletal trees. Headlights flickered across the lens, then died. The engine cut. Silence. Lewis's breathing filled the mic heavy. Hesitant, he aimed his flashlight at a warehouse ahead. It sat half-collapsed to the edge of the rail line. Windows blown out, walls tagged with graffiti that read, "Turn off the light." He called in, voice shaky, unsure. The reply from dispatch was cut off midword. Just a click, then dead air. Inside, the night vision kicked on. Everything turned grainy green. His beam panned across broken pallets, a half-eaten chair, a doll's head crushed against the floor. The kind of emptiness that feels rehearsed, as if something had cleaned up before being found. For 10 minutes, it was just exploration. Doors, echo, dust, his own breathing. Then a voice, right behind the camera. Officer Lewis. He turned. Nothing. The flashlight trembled slightly in his grip. He called out, "Who's there?" Silence. Then the voice again, whispering closer. "Turn off the light." He aimed the flashlight toward the sound. On the far wall, a shadow stretched long and narrow. No source, no body casting it. The light flickered, and the shadow's head tilted toward the lens. Then came a new sound, soft clicking, like a camera shutter firing somewhere else in the building. 1, 2, 3. Lewis's breathing quickened. "Dispatch," he said. "I'm not alone here." No response. Only faint static, and behind it, a slow inhale, microscopic, mechanical, like someone breathing through a machine. He kept moving forward, muttering to himself. Just finish the sweep. His voice sounded far away, like it was playing from another room. At the 12-minute mark, the feed glitched. The frame froze on a corridor lined with metal doors, each painted with the same number, 17. He opened one. The room inside was identical to the one he stood in. Same peeling walls, same debris. Except this one had a mirror leaning against the back wall. In the reflection, Lewis was there, but the camera wasn't. His hands were empty. He stepped closer, murmuring, "What the hell?" The reflection smiled. The footage stuttered, brief black frames, like missing heartbeats. Then, for a split second, the mirror surface rippled as if touched from the inside. The sound dropped to zero, replaced by a high-frequency hum that vibrated through my desk speakers. When the picture returned, the camera was lying on the floor. The flashlight rolled sideways, beam catching a single handprint smeared across the wall. 5 fingers too long, pressed in red dust. The timestamp jumped. 3 hours, 13 minutes, and 4 seconds. The lens showed an angle I recognized. Low, tilted, staring up at the ceiling. The light shook once. Then, softly, something whispered directly into the microphone. "Keep recording." I paused the playback. My reflection on the monitor screen looked wrong. My face was there, but for a moment, I swore the mouth wasn't mine. It was still moving even after I'd stopped breathing. I closed the file and ejected the card. But when I rechecked the folder, a new file had appeared. BCM018.mp4. I hadn't created it. I played it. The image was of my office. My chair. My computer. The timestamp. 3 hours, 13 minutes, and 4 seconds. And the footage was being filmed from inside the monitor, like the camera was watching me through the screen. I turned everything off, pulled the plug, removed the battery, shut down the breakers. Still, the monitor stayed faintly lit. The image didn't fade. It adjusted, like an eye adapting to darkness. That night, I woke to static humming from my phone. The screen showed a thumbnail of a video downloading by itself. Bodycam_17.mp4. Length, 1313. I opened it. The footage was in my apartment. Me, sitting up in bed, staring at the camera. The timestamp again. 3 hours, 13 minutes, and 4 seconds. The recording continued for another minute. Then from somewhere off screen, the sound of a shutter, slow, metallic, clicked once. The me on screen turned toward the sound and whispered something I couldn't hear. Then the video froze. The last frame showed my eyes wide open, mouth slightly parted, as if waiting to say something. The next morning, my department keycard didn't work. My access was revoked. My desk was cleared. When I called, the line rang once before cutting off. Later that night, a new email arrived from an address I didn't recognize. No subject line, no text, just an attachment. The file name, BCM019.mp4. Timestamp, 3 hours, 13 minutes, and 4 seconds. The thumbnail showed my apartment again, same angle as before, but this time, the camera wasn't facing me. It was facing the mirror.